Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Now we have an important lecture. I consider it very essential chart for understanding the purchasing process and the activities, the procedures that the people working in purchasing are performing. So this chart has 6 main steps with different documents, with different decision areas, with different knowledge to tell us, with different terms of knowledge, with different ideas, with different stages, with different important steps. This whole knowledge, this whole idea is available with one chart in the book. We need to understand it carefully, try to redesign this chart again in our books, in our paperwork. I prefer that you do it once and 2 times and 3 times. Try to take it from the book to have it written by your hand with your pen on your workbook to better recognize the stages and the importance of these stages. We will talk about these stages, 6 stages, in 3 different lectures, plus a lecture that talks about another chart. So we have another 4 lectures, plus this one, so we have 5 lectures about this area exactly. I'm starting this area by talking about the chart. I'll take my time to discuss the detailed steps, and we'll have an overall look for this chart. So this overall look will give us the roadmap of the process of purchasing. Then we have the lectures that comes after this one that talks about the details, issues. We have stages number 1 and 2 linked together in one lecture. We have stage number 3 because it's a big one to be isolated in one lecture. And we have step number 4 also, it's available in one lecture because it's big enough. And finally we have step number 5 and 6 in one lecture. So we have how many lectures? 1, 2, 3, 4 lectures. Plus another lecture that talks about a chart, another chart that talks specifically about the purchasing from the supplier and the direct relation of the supplier. We want to say that here we have some figures that tells us ideas. This shape talks about decision area. So when we say this, see this shape, it means that we will have an answer. Usually we have the answer yes, so we have one direction, or sometimes we have the word no, so we have another direction. So it's a decision area. When we see this shape, it will talk about a stage. This stage, we have 6 steps, from 1 to 6. So this gives us an idea, this one gives us another idea. If you see this shape, so this represents documents. So the documents, it means we have forms to be filled, or forms we receive in order to review, or gives us idea, or gives us some indicators. Sometimes we have them in that shape. It gives us the same idea, they are documents. Still, we have the document shape. And we have the ordinary arrows. We have them in different directions, that way, or maybe that way, or upwards, or downwards. We have different places that these arrows are appointing something or giving us the procedures we should follow. this is step number 1, this is number 3, we go to that direction, we go to this way. So this is the main idea, or the main chart that simplify the upcoming 4 lectures. Let's start to see this in full picture and to follow these stages. I hope it's clear enough to see the wording inside. We need you to rewrite this shape again in your workbook to better control the whole process, ideas, to better understand what is inside each one of these stages. Start with stage number 1, user need for product or services. The user, we mean here by, it's the production or the operation department, the internal user. They tell us more about their needs, the requirements, in order to doing the production, to doing delivery, in the storefront, sometimes make some modifications in some materials and to resell them again. What tells us about these needs? It's some documents. These documents could be specifications, tell us about what is needed, or what we say statement of work, SOW. Specifications, it's for tangible goods. Statement of work, it's for intangible goods, which are services. We say we do SOW, statement of work, for transportation activity, service, that we will see from a taxi company, for example. It could be also new product requirement, design for new product, so we need some certain materials. Number 4, we can think about the customer orders coming to us, and we don't have enough goods in our storehouse, in our inventory, so we asking our suppliers or our providers with replenishment of the materials in order to give them or make some modifications on them and to deliver them to the customers, to fulfill the customer orders. Also think about the traveling request. It's for the materials moving from one place to the other. It could be important materials, could be moving materials among some towns or places. And finally, we have the purchase requisition. It's the direct order from the production department or an internal customer inside our organization to tell that we need these things. It's the purchasing requisition. So all of these documents could be indicators to tell us that there is a need for a product or service. Again, in other words, how we know that there is a need for this good or for these services? From these documents. When these documents are reaching us, we know that there is a need. These are symbols. These are signs of requirements. Here we go to what we say it's a decision area. This shade talks about a decision area. Do we have an approved supplier that could provide us with what is needed from goods and or services? If yes, we have, so this is very simple, easy way to go further to the symbol, these symbol documents that lead us to number 5. But if you, we will read it. But if no, we don't have an approved supplier, maybe his contract is finished, maybe we are not satisfied with his performance, maybe the materials are new, maybe this type of service we occasionally asking for these kind of services. If no, so I'm asking about another question. So this is another decision area. Is the requirements you are asking for are a small amount or big amount? If a small amount, so yes, go right away to the shortcut. It's a very simple thing. If we have an approved supplier, or if we don't have an approved supplier, but the amount of the purchase is very simple, so go directly to this this direction. This direction is simply some documents. Talks about the purchasing cards. There are cards for purchasing things between us as a company and the suppliers, or could we go directly for the online catalogs? We can search the internet, search the catalogs available, and we can add them to our cart. Simply we can find this in Amazon.com or other e-commerce websites. Think about the electronic data interchange. There are exchanging of emails or reports through the clouding system, for example, or exchanging some information communication between different departments, saying that we need these things. This information also reach the suppliers to tell them exactly what we need through the internet, through the emails. Think about the stock check. We can go to our inventory and check for our stock, from available stock of goods. Think also about automated reorders. Some systems have automated reorders to do the reordering automatically when the stage of the inventory reaches a very narrow or simple stage or small stage. This happens usually with supermarkets. When the amount of inventory of certain cans, for example, reaching the minimum stage or the minimum limit, so there is an automatic reordering sent to the suppliers to replenish their goods. Go to the wait for this stage, wait for these documents, because we want to go through the long process until we reach it. So if there is no approved supplier and the amount of money is no small, it's a very big one, or I'm asking a third question. Is the requirement you are looking for, is it complex or is it simple? If it's simple, anybody can understand it and carefully find it and purchase it. So you can also go to stage number 4, which is approving purchase or purchase approval. It's a very simple decision. So we go, this paper goes again to this stage. We will go to this stage. But if the requirement is not simple and it's complicated, we need to go to that longer track that starts with a piece of paper that tells us request for quotation, request for information. Simply it's RFQ or RFI. I'm asking for technical information and financial offer from different suppliers. So I'm publishing or sending some direct request from certain suppliers or for multiple suppliers, or could be printed on the newspapers, on some electronic websites, asking for quotations, asking for technical and financial offers. So we say it's RFQ. Here, when we receive envelopes that have the proposals, technical proposals and financial offers from the suppliers, we have them to be evaluated from our committees. We're evaluating the offers and trying to have, usually we have some certain evaluation methods and supplier scorecards and evaluation criteria are available from our experience, from the supplier's experience with us, from the technical offer he's saying, from the assessment from external sources, we can know more about the suppliers. So finally, we reach what we say bid and or negotiate the offer with the selected supplier. Give a contract with the supplier directly, or we can negotiate the technical offer and the financial offer from the supplier. So when we have the supplier selection, it's okay, the supplier is okay, we accept the supplier, we send him purchase approval. It's a legal document or paper, or it's a letter that tells the supplier that you are selected and we want to have you with us, to work with us, to supply us with the required materials or services. So we go to that tract. So we think about the papers, the documents here in that stage, that they are purchasing orders directly from our department to the suppliers, or we have sometimes what we call it a blanket purchase order. The word blanket purchase order, it's an order from an organization to a supplier with certain amount of commodities, with all required specifications, the quality, the price, the timing, everything. But here we have what we say the products, the raw materials received from the suppliers are sent to us as a company or organization in form of tranchment and tranchment payment. It means in form of stages. Each time the purchasing department sends what we say purchasing release for the supplier for a certain amount, piece of this raw material is required. So the supplier sends this piece of raw material, and usually this happens on a regular basis. For example, if there is a bakery company is asking for flour from a supplier, it will ask, because of the quality of the flour, the bakery company is asking the flour supplier to send the flour on Mondays. Each Monday you'll send us 2 tons of the flour, for example. And we have a contract for 1 month or 6 months coming ahead. So 1 day in a week we receive the flour we need, and each week we have certain amount to be sent to us. This is what we say blanket purchase order. Going to stage number 5, that talks about release and receive product or service. The release happens from the supplier and the receive happens from the purchasing department, to make sure that what is required, what was stated in the purchase order, matches the materials that are received from the supplier. So here we have some papers, documents, we have bill of lading, we have the packaging slip, and we have discrepancy report. This report talks about if there are changes, gaps between what is requested and what was sent by the supplier. For example, I ask for materials have the white color, 1,000 piece with a white color. The supplier sent me the same quality materials, 1,000 piece, but they are in black color. So there is discrepancy report. And there is what we say the Kanban. We will talk about the Kanban systems. It's a very simple technique that is used by the Japanese in order to make the production and the logistics and the purchasing very simple without talking. It is only tools that gives indicators. We'll know about the Kanban system later on. And there is the acknowledgement. It means signing that everything is matching. The acknowledgement, it happens between the procurement receiver or the procurement department and the supplier, or could be the transporter. Going to another paper, which is the supplier invoice. And this invoice matches the purchasing order and invoices. So these papers are the secret papers for evaluating the supplier performance in the scorecard. And this is why we pay, this is the time of paying the money for the suppliers. Give me the supplier invoice and the acknowledgement of the matching materials, so we will give you the payment. This goes to the financial and accounting department, and the performance evaluation or the supplier scorecard updated will go back to the assessment or the evaluation of the supplier performance. When we select the suppliers next time, we know that the previous supplier that we deal with was excellent in his attitude, or he has some drawbacks and he didn't solve these problems, so we prefer not to contract him again, or we can have he to be contracted with some required things to be stated. I know this process is a very big process and consists of multiple stages. We have multiple decision areas, and we have multiple documents. We want to say that procurement departments, people are not responsible for handling the materials by themselves, to have them delivered from one place to the other. They control their abilities, their tasks, their knowledge, their expertise needed is to control the procedures and the documents. Yeah, the work is very simple, but same time it's very accurate. You are controlling the work, you are controlling the systems, you are following the documents, you are assessing and evaluating the performance, you are dealing with people, dealing with your work is a paperwork. Your work is maybe manual papers, or could be documented in your PC or maybe in your mobile systems. Yes, these documentations, these procedures, this whole process, the ability of negotiation, the decision areas, you should have the skills and the knowledge and the expertise. Three things, same time. Here in our subject, we give you the knowledge. And the skills need to be modified to be better from time to the other by your real life activities. And these skills, it's from your personality, from the knowledge that you have, from your religion, for your communication ways, or better understanding and respecting others. But mainly the expertise, it doesn't come alone by itself. We need people that goes to the field, try to be engaged in some certain activities to get the experience. You should be engaged in documentation, how to fill them, to understand the procedures, to give lots of your time, spending your efforts, concentrating your mind in understanding the documents and the circulation and all details available in these papers and documents. It's not something done without accuracy. You will be responsible for huge amount of damages later on in production, and finally with the customer not satisfying them. If you start work good enough, you will work good enough, and finally will end with good results. If you didn't do your work from the first stage properly, you'll face huge problems and you will be responsible for damaging other departments. Thank you very much for your time and effort and attention. See you again in discussing the details of these 6 stages. Hope you are okay, and goodbye.